BBC decided not to show live on TV the opening ceremony of the World Cup 2022 in Qatar, episode number 2. Here I'm going to be talking about human rights in China and women's rights in Qatar. BBC decided not to show live on TV the opening ceremony of the World Cup Qatar 2022, but instead talk about the human rights violations in the country, even though a couple of months ago it covered and live on TV the full Olympic Games in China. And China is known for being the greatest human rights violator so far, especially when we talk about China's repression to Uyghurs in Xinjiang region. For those who don't know who are the Uyghurs, they are an ethnic group, Muslim majority, that live in the northwestern part of Xinjiang. They have been discriminated, sexually abused, tortured. They are not allowed to practice their religion freely. Children are forcibly separated from their parents, and women are subject to forced abortion. Okay, let's move to talk about women's rights in Qatar, which is a topic the whole world is concerned about, and I don't really understand why. Women in Qatar drive on property. They work in the government and in the private sector. They are allowed to vote and to hold office as well. If we are going to talk about domestic violence, I believe that if the government doesn't intervene in this kind of issues, it's mainly because they are considered domestic issues and not because they are governed by a specific law. There is a very interesting interview by Le Point French magazine to His Highness the Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim, where he highlighted the vital role of women in the Qatari society. He also mentioned that they have 3 ministers in their government and women pilots as well in their air forces. He also highlighted his awareness about the discrimination of women in the world, which Qatar totally rejects. And this is not all. Let me tell you something else. Article number 93, Part 9 of the Labor Law of the State of Qatar highlights that working women shall be paid a wage equivalent to the wage payable to a man. Unlike Europe, where there is a significant gender pay gap, about 13%. There has been progress indeed, but very slow. In 10 years, the gap decreased by 2.8% only. These statistics were published by the European Commission, and you can find it anywhere on the internet for more details. But this can definitely show you the gender gap differences compared to Qatar. I would like to conclude by giving my opinion on this, and after analyzing all the information I collected in order to make this video, I can say that this is not double standard, but this is pure hypocrisy. And the comparison between BBC's past actions and current ones, it just makes me believe that human rights is not but an excuse simply because they couldn't accept the idea that the World Cup was awarded to such a small Muslim country. They cannot accept the idea that Qatar is really complying with what it promised of making the World Cup one of the best in the world.